Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. With not all that much to look forward to for the Arizona Cardinals in the 2023 season, one of the things you want to see as an Arizona Cardinal fan is internal growth from the young guys, and one of the players I'm really looking to step up for the Cardinals this season is cornerback Marco Wilson. So in today's video, we're going to dive into Marco Wilson in order to determine, can Marco Wilson step up and play well for Arizona in 2023? Man, oh man, was Marco Wilson thrown into the fire immediately upon his entry into the NFL. He really was not given any time to grow and develop as an NFL football player. Why do I say that? In 2021, as a fourth-round rookie, he was thrown into the fire with Arizona, expected to be the team's number 2 cornerback behind Byron Murphy. Not only that, but immediately into his NFL career, he was tasked with guarding guys such as Cooper Kupp and DK Metcalf. So Marco Wilson, it really was sink or swim, and really throughout his two first seasons in the NFL, he really was treading water, but in my opinion, he really can swim to a large degree this season as the team's newfound number 1 cornerback after Byron Murphy is gone. Marco Wilson really is an extremely interesting study as an NFL player, as he really does have some high-end, dare I say, elite traits, and he really does have some low-end traits, which really is what caused him to be a 4th-round pick out of a guy with an incredible physical profile. Last year, Marco definitely showed some really nice flashes as he had 2 interceptions against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. He also had a really nice pick 6 in a primetime game up against the New Orleans Saints, which rounded out his season with 3 interceptions. Not only that, but in his first 2 years of his career, he has 106 tackles, and he does have 3 forced fumbles, so Marco Wilson is a guy who is going to somewhat gamble in order to get turnovers. Now, diving into Marco Wilson, some of his strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies, and what sums up Marco Wilson as a football player really is that incredible high-end physical talent and that lower-end mental development, which really has not come along yet. But in my opinion, with Jonathan Gannon here, with a very friendly cornerback scheme, that mental aspect of the game can finally click for Marco Wilson. But let's review some of the positives and negatives about his physical game and his mental game. Now, he really is very loose in terms of his reactionary quickness and more specifically his route recognition. Marco Wilson genuinely does take a long time into the route to fully recognize the route, as he's consistently lacking in terms of the route squeeze. What do I mean by route squeeze, guys? Watch Marco Wilson play. Even though he has the physical talent in order to keep up with any wide receiver in the NFL, and when I say any, I really do mean any, he does have the strength and size and speed profile in order to keep up with any wide receiver in the NFL. Not only that, but he's very twitchy, so he absolutely does have the hip flexibility and the foot quickness to keep up with some of the shiftier route runners in the NFL, but yet still that route squeeze really is lacking. And again, what I mean by that route squeeze is the amount of space he keeps in between the receiver and himself, the receiver and the cornerback. Consistently watching Marco Wilson, the wide receiver simply has too much time to operate, too much space to operate, which really allows a consistent window for the wide receiver and the quarterback to operate under. Now, mentally, why is this the case with Marco Wilson? I think it is one reason and one reason only: his recovery ability. His recovery ability, as you can see in these 2 interceptions against Tom Brady, his recover ability is so elite. It's so high end. He mentally believes that he can recover in any route, in any situation, no matter how far he is from the wide receiver. Now, in college, he definitely could get away with this, but at the NFL level, it really doesn't matter how incredible your recover ability is. It doesn't matter how high end of an athlete you are. At some point, you do need to have consistent route squeeze in order to be a top half corner in the NFL, which Marco Wilson absolutely has shown the flashes to do so. But again, that route squeeze really is not consistent. So that's one of the number 1 things I'm looking forward to with Jonathan Gannon coming here. I really want to see him improve Marco Wilson's route squeeze. Now, why am I so confident in saying his recover ability is so incredible and he's such a high-end athlete? Check this out, guys. In 2021, via NFL.com, he was listed as the number 1 cornerback in the entire 2021 NFL class in terms of a physical profile. Why is this? At 5'11", with about a 31-inch arm and about 200 pounds nowadays, that alone makes Marco Wilson have a really nice frame for an NFL cornerback. What else? He graded out in the 99th percentile NFL for cornerbacks in terms of their physical profile. In NFL Combine history, he ran about a 4.35 40, which is very fast with really nice acceleration and burst as well. He has a 43.5-inch vertical along with a 136 broad jump, both in the 98th percentiles for cornerbacks in NFL history. And by far the most incredible physical feat for Marco Wilson is that he is currently in the 99th percentile in terms of strength coming into the NFL for a cornerback in NFL history, as he put up 26 reps on the bench of 225. This is something, watching him at Florida, he definitely showed flashes to be a very strong player, and in the NFL he's shown flashes to be a strong player, as again, like I mentioned, he did force 3 fumbles in the first 2 years of his career, and as an outside cornerback, as a young guy, that is pretty damn impressive. But overall, that play strength definitely has not translated to the field, as per PFF, he's one of the worst run defenders as an outside corner in the entire NFL. Matter of fact, if his run defense grade was slightly below average to average, he would grade out pretty well with PFF. The fact that he grades out so poorly with PFF really is because of the lack of effort and technique he plays with in the run game. So now that Marco Wilson is finally in a situation with a very defensively minded head coach, not only that, but a defensively minded head coach that really does favor the secondary in his scheme, in my opinion, there is no excuse but for Jonathan Gannon to turn Marco Wilson into an incredibly physically talented player who solely relies on his physical talent in order to get by, to a guy with about an average NFL mindset and overall average NFL IQ for the cornerback position. If Marco Wilson can get an about league average level in terms of football IQ, guys, he's one of the best 25 cornerbacks in the NFL if that's the case, because of how high-end his physical talent ability is. If I had to give an official prediction, in my opinion, Marco Wilson is going to be one of the few bright spots for the Arizona Cardinals in 2023. I think he grades out as a top 35 cornerback in the NFL per PFF in this season. I know that's a boiling hot take, but I've always been a big fan and a big believer in Marco Wilson from a physical talent perspective. It really is all about the mindset and the football IQ at this point, and I do think Jonathan Gannon's scheme will be friendly to Marco Wilson and the rest of the secondary. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Marco Wilson and this Arizona Cardinals team as a whole headed into the 2023 season. If you enjoyed today's video, I really appreciate it. Smack that like and hit subscribe.